Hi everyone, it's Celeste and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today on my channel, this video is about KDA Rising Star Seraphine. I made this cosplay for a contest and unfortunately, I had to tear apart a lot of my other costumes for this costume. It's kind of funny saying costume so many times. So if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Celeste Orchid. I've been a cosplayer since 2005. I've won numerous awards. And if you like my kind of content and want to see more of it, go ahead and click that red button down below to subscribe to never miss out on any future videos. Yay! If you have any questions on how I created this or want some in-depth tutorial, leave a comment down below. I'll be sure to answer it and give you any extra hints, updates, or something. A lot of the stuff that I did do wasn't recorded, so it was kind of pushed really fast. So if you have any questions, leave them in a comment down below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the making of. For Seraphine, I'm actually going to be diving into my cosplay stash to see what I can use. And I remembered that I had this beautiful cerulean blue sequin fabric for my original Elsa cosplay from Frozen. I did not like that cosplay. I am not going to rewear this cosplay, so I'm going to be using this fabric for my Seraphine costume. My Elsa skirt was not created properly as a real perfect skirt would be, so I just kind of cut up a trapezoid and made that into a skirt. I also hand sewed this, so it's going to be really easy for me to seam rip all of the edges out. I made sure to seam rip every single piece of this skirt apart and not sacrificing any of it. I need this entirety of this fabric to make sure that I have enough for the dress I'm about to make. Originally, I thought I was just going to drape it onto the dress form, and then I realized I want more body in the bottom of the skirt. I want it to be able to come out kind of like that space girl kind of look, rather than just bleh. The fabric looks amazing. I did this all by hand, gluing down giant sequins, small sequins to create that gradient, which I think looks amazing. So instead, what I'm going to do is be using McCall's pattern 6740. I know a lot of people like it whenever I draft my own patterns, but sometimes it's just easier when you have a pattern pre-made. So let's go ahead and use letter C. I almost said number C. So we're going to use letter C on this wonderful My Little Pony fabric. Because most roses are not the color at the bottom of Seraphine's skirt, I'm going to go take all of these little roses and flower petals and start painting them with blue different colors. I have some that are dark blue, and then I'm going to use some teal turquoisey color and just paint them like crazy. With the My Little Pony fabric, I'm creating a mock-up. A mock-up that way I can make any alterations and make sure it fits properly. Then I can use my super nice fabric, the sequin fabric, and hopefully I have enough so it all fits together. So basically making it once, making sure it fits, and then going back and adding more to it. After I had made the mock-up, it was slightly loose underneath my armpits, so I just made it a little bit tighter, and then I modified the length. The length was a little bit too long for my taste, but I didn't really cut to the full length of the pattern anyways, so I just shortened it. Then I transferred it to my sequin fabric. I made sure to unpick every single seam that I had, and I placed it face down onto the sequin fabric, making sure that I had every piece covered, and then I cut it all out carefully. I made sure not to use my actual fabric scissors because sequins are not fabric. So make sure you use something else that is not your fabric scissors when cutting sequin fabric. She could have seen how many more of these broken sequins are all over the place, because this is not the magic that I wanted. Okay, so now that I already got the sequin cut out, I'm going to go ahead and start snipping off some of the edges so I can sew it with the sewing machine. I don't want to break a needle, but maybe I'll try breaking a needle just to prove a point. Or maybe I shouldn't. Okay, let's just be smart. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start assembling the dress. You've already seen me assemble dresses before. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. But this... in certain areas I am going to try to cut off. I know that I have some glue in some parts, so I might just have to hand sew that. Good time. Sometimes you gotta stop being a cosplayer. After a nice snack break, go ahead and start pinning your flowers to your dress. And make sure you're done with your dress too. That's very important. I went ahead and started hand gluing them down in position, and I made sure to unwrap all of the backing so they do not fall off. Be careful because some of my flowers actually weren't dry and thus got on my fingers. Go ahead and go all the way around the bottom hem of your dress with roses. I made sure to check my references first to see where the colors of my roses should go. There are 2 white and 2 pink roses in the back and none in the front, so I made sure to follow this detail. You'll notice some of my flowers have beads and extra embellishments. That's because I recycled them from my unicorn and flower fairy costumes. Gotta do what you gotta do during a pandemic. I can't order flowers fast enough, and it was just a really hard time, so I'm super happy with how the bottom hem looks, and many thanks to my roommate Bianca who helped me with this, because I didn't have enough flowers, so it looks amazing. Copy the top part of the bodice one more time out of white so I can create the nice layered effect.
Later.
So I made a pattern here for that white part that goes on top of the dress. I'm not going to add the straps just yet because I want to make sure that this top part goes underneath and then sew it on top. That way it's all done within one piece, and that way the straps don't get in the way when I want to fold it over to have a nice top clean edge. So you can see that I doodled it out first and made sure I had everything that I liked. I made sure to fold over this piece here to make sure that it is completely symmetrical as I do, and I pin like all over the place. Now I'm just gonna cut it out and then glue it.
A few inches later.
Yeah, I kind of just went ahead and finished my dress. How do you want me to fit this? I finished it. There's a lot of details that I didn't go over because this would just make the video insanely long, and you don't have to follow it exactly to me what I did on a tee, but there are some things that I want to tell you and show you, so let's get into it. I told you that this fabric originally is my old Elsa skirt, so there's that goes into it. These white flowers are actually from my flower fairy costume and my unicorn costume. Some of these blue ones are actually hand painted. And as you remember before, this piece here is actually a pink flower that I dyed blue. So some of these flowers are actually hand painted, most of them are. And these big ones are actually from BB. These are from her Elderwood Ari that we both haven't finished, and I decided just to not make it anymore. Now the way that I did this was I made a pattern on top of this actual dress form, and I'll show you what that looks like really quickly. I didn't throw it away. That looks like this. I wrapped this entire thing while it was on the dress form in like this saran wrap, and then I used packing tape as my medium to tape it down. As you can see, it's over there. And then I traced it out. I traced out the pattern that I wanted, and then I took it off. But first I recreated another top part of the dress yet again, so I cut this out 3 times. Not the best thing. And then I pinned this to this, and I cut it out the way that I wanted. After I did that, I went and used that clear glue that I use all the time, this contact glue, and I secured it down slowly, piece by piece, section by section, to make sure that it is super secure from all the sequins. You can tell that there's tons of bumps and lumps, and that's because I wanted to make it nice and smooth so it wasn't a big problem. Not like that's a big problem because it's going to get covered by the shirt anyways. Also, because this is a fabric going on top of it, I decided to cover the edges, most of them, you can see this one here, with beads. I thought it would be very pretty, and it was super time consuming. Was it worth it? Yes, I think so. So then I did the extra details as well, so it kind of just pops, but it's not like super like in your face kind of pop, or should I be like in your face kind of pop, and I just really like that. So the straps are actually just sewn in as well. They're just pieces of ribbon that I just hand sewed into the top. My zipper actually was really well done. I was so proud of it. I just want to show you guys. I never really do this, but I lined it perfectly. So the lining is perfect, and then the sequin was perfect until I had to cover everything, and then I just did a really bad whip stitch of the white fabric that got tucked in on top. So there's that in a bag of chips. But you know what? I think this entire dress piece looks really good. If you want a detailed explanation on how to do beading stuff like this, let me know with a comment down below. But for now, I'm just going to assume you know how to string beads and then glue them down onto fabric in a 3D shape.
Yummy.
Alright, let's go to the next part. You may not know this, but I did Krieger's waifu ages ago. And this originally was a white flower with a little blue flower that I made out of lace. And I decided to use this now as my Seraphine costume. So this means another costume has been torn apart or used piece from it is now used into a different costume. All I did was add this rose from my unicorn costume at the top, and ta-da, look at it. It's just so pretty. We have Seraphine's like little crop jacket. I'm not gonna make a complete real jacket, but I will be using this shirt that I got from a store, and this is a size medium. I wanted it to be a collared shirt because that's what it looks like, and I also have this really nice fabric that I said I was going to use for KDA Collie, the first one, Pop Stars, but I haven't done that yet, so there's that. First, what I had to do is try this on and crop it, cut off the sleeves, and then add a cuff, which I think you guys have seen me do that. If you don't know how to do that, then leave me a comment, but just crop this. I already marked it out. And then add a line here, just right there. Add a line here, all the way down the sleeve. And then add new cuffs. Then we're done. Woo! I know normally I make everything from scratch, but this was actually a costume for a contest and I had a deadline, so I just used something that I could modify. Sometimes modifying is the best way to go when you have a strict deadline. Because the deadline for the contest was drawing closer, I decided to use a ribbon as a pattern for the stripe down the shoulders and the sleeves. This worked really well as a time saver. Instead of measuring out how much I needed and making marks on the fabric, I still had to cut it out, but this really helped. Just a small little helpful tidbit for all you cosplayers out there. I started gluing down the strip of fabric as close as I could to the collar seam. I am using actual fabric glue and not universal adhesive or E6000. I glued down the shoulder seam first and then found the center of the sleeve and continued to glue to the edge. I really love the seamless look for this stripe. I know I would have had a problem with sewing it and probably having crooked seams, so gluing it was the right choice, even if I was on a deadline. After gluing down the strip on both sides, I cut the remainder in half. I'm actually going to be using this for that collar piece so I don't have to waste any of my fabric. I usually try to glue as accurately as possible, but here I thought it would be best if I had excess hanging over the edge of the collar seam. This way I can get a perfect cut, then have too little and try to be really precise. So I did that on both sides, and then I cut off the excess from the bottom of the collar and at the top. Seraphine has this band on her jacket that I thought this pink little ribbon that I used earlier would be great, and I just used that and glued it down. Next, all I have to do is add the cuffs and I'm done. So I hope you like how this turned out. Seraphine was made really quickly, like I said. This was a 4-day build. I did get sleep. I did work on it pretty quickly. And that's because I had a pattern that I used, and it was so helpful to use patterns and know what you're getting yourself into. So, without further ado, if you have any questions, like I said earlier at the beginning of my video, leave them in the comment down below. If you like this video, make sure to thumbs up. And if you, I don't know why, didn't subscribe yet, do that. Oh my god, why is that so hard? I hope it's not hard. But thank you so much for watching. Check out some of my other League of Legends videos that I have floating around my head. And remember to stay inspired, be creative, and I will see you in a future video. Bye!